From here, there are wonderful camping places in almost every direction. We wouldn't have to fall back on some suburban common. Omri looked out of the window. It was true. All around them stretched the glorious Dorset countryside. Hills, woods, fields, rivers, and the sea, only a few miles away. It might be fun. The only thing was, there was something behind this. Omri knew somehow that this wasn't really about camping, that their father had a hidden agenda. It had to be to do with the Indian. Only 2 days ago, his dad had found out. When the family had first moved into this old Dorset farmhouse, Omri had made some makeshift shelves in his bedroom out of raw planks standing on loose bricks. In the hollows of 2 of these bricks, Omri had hidden his most precious possessions, the plastic figures of his friends, Little Bull, his wife Twin Stars, their baby Tall Bear, and, separately, Matron and Sergeant Fickets. They were toys now, but they hadn't always been toys. Through the fantastic magic of an old bathroom cupboard and a key that had belonged to his great-great-aunt and then to his mother, they had come to life. They'd turned into real people, people from the past, whom the magic of the cupboard and the key had brought into Omri's life at various times in the last few years. How carefully Omri had guarded his secret, and how hard it had been to keep from telling anyone. With the 2 people who already knew, his best friend Patrick and Patrick's cousin Emma, living miles away, there was no one to share it with. He dared not tell his brothers, though there'd been times when it had almost just burst out of him. Then he'd found the account, which had changed everything. The account was a sort of journal, contained in an old leather-bound notebook left hidden in the roof thatch by his great-great-aunt Jessica Charlotte. Omri's mother called her wicked great-aunt, and she had admitted to at least one pretty bad act when she'd stolen her sister's earrings and been the cause of a tragedy. She had been a singer and actress with psychic gifts, and she'd owned this farmhouse. The account had been written on her deathbed. From this wonderful document, Omri had learned how the key and the cupboard had been made, and how the magic had got into them. Luckily, Patrick had come to spend a half-term with him, in time to share the latest marvel. Jessica Charlotte herself, brought back from the past to sing them a music-hall song and make herself, however briefly, part of their lives. And then, 2 days ago, his father had gone to Omri's room while Omri had been out, to put up the proper shelves he'd promised him, and had disturbed his arrangements and found the figures. He'd put them all into the cupboard and locked the door. Of course they'd come to life inside, and his dad had put a lot of 2s and 2s from the past together and realized. And later he'd seen them, been introduced to them, and accepted it. It took a special kind of grown-up, not only to accept magic when he saw it, but to promise and swear that he'd never ever tell a living soul. Omri knew his secret was safe, and at last he had someone in the family to share it with. There was a problem, though. They'd talked about it, Omri and his dad. They'd gone out for a long walk together by the sea yesterday, and talked about it. It wasn't their problem, it was Little Bull's. Little Bull was an Iroquois Indian from the late 18th century, and he was in trouble, or rather his whole tribe was, and as Little Bull was a chief, he was deeply concerned. And when he had suddenly been magicked back to Omri's time, when the key was turned and the cupboard door opened, his first words had been, "This good! I have much need." Well, his very first word had been brother. He and Omri were blood brothers. Luckily, the problem, though urgent, was not something that had to be dealt with on the spot. It was an ongoing problem the tribe was experiencing, which Little Bull had tried to explain, something to do with British treachery, which made Omri puzzled and uncomfortable, though he didn't really grasp what it was all about. But Little Bull seemed to take it for granted that Omri, whom he had originally assumed to be a great spirit with all sorts of magic powers, would come to his help. "We'll have to go back," said Omri as they walked along the cliff tops, with the salty wind blowing off the English Channel into their faces. "Explain to me, how does one go back?" Omri did his best. He himself had only gone back once, to Little Bull's village when it had been under attack by the Iroquois' enemies, the Algonquins. "You have to get into something," he said. "You remember my wooden chest, the one I got in the Saturday market, the one with..."